Friday. It's that time again. Dave Birkett here, along with Carlos Monarrez. Detroit Lions getting ready for their second-to-last home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lions, losers of 6 straight against the Bucs, who've won a couple in a row, Carlos. If you would have told me beginning of the season that one of these teams was coming in on a long losing streak and one on a long winning streak, I would have thought it would have been the other way around.
Yeah, and that one quarterback is playing really well and throwing a lot of touchdowns and maybe even some interceptions. I would have also thought a different quarterback too.
Yeah, I don't know if Jameis is playing really well. He's putting up big numbers, but he leads the NFL in interceptions. He leads the NFL in turnovers. So,
are you and Pete Schrager not voting for him for
not
NFL
for MVP? No,
okay.
no. Stafford still has my vote.
Stafford.
But no, I think if there's a reason to believe that the Lions can maybe snap this losing streak, and I know most of you out there don't want the Lions to, right? Everybody out there wants the Lions to play for draft position, but the people inside the building, they want to win. And the reason to believe they can do that this week is because Jameis is so erratic as a quarterback. I mean, he throws a ton of picks. The Lions don't get many as a team. They're tied for last in the NFL, I think, with 5 interceptions, tied with the Cowboys. But maybe that changes this week.
It could, and you don't. It's always hard to pick the team that is on the losing streak, that's cold.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They didn't look great in Minnesota. They did okay. The Vikings are playing well.
Good at all.
Offense wasn't good. You got Blau. Your Marvin Jones is out of the picture now in IR. There's a lot of things working against the Lions in this game. Scarborough's nicked up. So
West Hills show, baby. West Hills coming at you.
West Hills. That's a nice town in California. So, yeah, it's hard to pick the Lions, but you don't. I think even the most faithful Bucs fan, who bleeds pewter, doesn't trust Jameis.
No, you can't at this point. I mean, even talking to Bruce Arians the other day on the conference call and saying, what do you say about all these turnovers? And he said, we say stop giving them the damn ball, stop giving them points. That he's done it far too often. I think everyone realizes that. And, you said something, though, about it's tough to go against the team that's on the streak. That's almost why I picked the Lions in this game. Was I didn't pick the Lions at the risk of spoiling my pick, but I just thought Tampa is not good enough to keep winning games. And on the road, no Mike Evans, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know that the Lions have enough offense at the end of the day with David Blau at quarterback, with no Marvin Jones, with no running back, no running game, just kind of some of the things going on with their offense to get it done. But it just gave me pause that the Bucs have won a couple of games in a row here, and I just don't think they're a very good team. So I don't know that they can keep that streak up either.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, with Jameis, even if he throws a couple of picks, unless they're pick sixes, the Lions going to get the ball back. Who's going to run the ball for them? Who's Blau going to pass to?
West Hills, baby.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be, the West Hills show. So that's the problem, is unless you get the ball, and Prater kicks 10 field goals or something like that, it's going to be hard for them to put up enough points. And that's why I think Jameis can overcome some picks, even if he does turn the ball over.
Yeah, and I'll say this about David Blau. That first game he did a pretty good job protecting the ball at home. Last week, he did have the turnovers, but I think some of those were situational based too. So if Blau takes care of the football, maybe the Lions can hang around enough in this game to make this competitive, maybe even pull out a win. And I guess the real question, though, is do you want to see the Lions win? I mean, at the risk of spoiling a top 3 potential draft pick, maybe getting Chase Young. I mean, think about last year, right? Because I've been forced to think about this by everybody on my Twitter timeline and in my email. They beat Green Bay at the end of the season. That caused them to miss out on Josh Allen, who is the pass rusher that they desperately need. If they win a game here in these final 3, as much as everyone out there in the Lions organization is trying to win, it's going to cost you a pretty good player.
Yeah.
Is it worth it for the Lions to win right now?
Frankly, for my own purposes, of course, it's always about us. So I would like to see the Lions win, just to change the narrative for 1 week, just to stop writing about them being on the losing streak and have something else. And I, even though the locker room has been pretty good, people haven't been angry or upset or whatever. I think on a human level, it'd be nice to see them finally, get off the schneid, get a win, feel a little better going into Christmas. It's not going to mean much other than hurting their draft position, like you said. But I also don't know is Chase Young like the exact difference maker that's going to change the fortunes of this team in 1 year. I mean, I don't know. And what are they now? 6, right?
4th, 5th, but they're going to be 4th for sure because there's another Miami and Washington play.
And where's Chase going?
Second. Joe Burrow go number 1.
So they're not
Whoever's
gonna get
picking
him.
2 is probably picking. No, the Lions still have a shot at the number 2 draft pick. I mean, they need a win by Washington. They need a win by Miami. Those 2 teams play each other. One of those is bound to win.
Okay.
They need 2 wins by the New York Giants. That's the tough part. If the Giants have the number 2 pick, they probably take Chase Young because their defense is so bad. And, in theory, depending on what they do, maybe they change GMs and their new GM doesn't believe in Daniel Jones. But in theory, they have their young quarterback. So for the Lions to get Chase Young, you have to move ahead of the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that excited about the draft pick. I don't think, to me, there's not one obvious guy who's going to, they need to get this guy. They need to get a whatever running back or a whatever, guy who's going to make an instant impact. I'm sure Chase Young will be a good, player, but what do you think?
This guy, he doesn't want the best pass rusher since Von Miller.
Wow.
I think,
Okay.
no, look, I mean, the correct answer to my question is no, it's a win is not worth it in what you lose. But certainly, look, from the human element of it, everyone involved wants to win because, that's why you play the game, right? And if you're Matt Patricia and players for that matter too, you're playing for your jobs in a lot of ways. And the only way to save them is to get wins. So obviously the interests and needs of the people within the Lions organization are different than the fans out here in what they want to happen. But just abstract, no, a win is not worth it because the chance to draft a player like Chase Young, a difference maker like Chase Young, you just don't get that opportunity all the time. And the Lions could have that chance, and he could be the type of player, no guarantees, but he could be the type of player that does great things for this franchise.
Let me ask you, just does a win really matter? Is it going to save anybody's job necessarily? I mean, because I think to me, more importantly, is the team together? Is it fractured? Right. Are there problems? Are there dissension and all this stuff? And that whether you win or lose, that hasn't happened. Yeah. And if you're staying competitive in games, which is what they've done, at the end of the day, does a win matter really?
I just had to check the microphone to make sure it was on. I just had this crazy flash in my head, whoa, did I forget to turn the microphone on?
Tech Dave.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I think it does because, look, 9-game losing streak to end the season just feels and smells and tastes a little different than, winning 2 of your final 3 games or something like that. Yeah. I mean, a 5-win season is different than a 3-win season, and maybe you get some hope, and that's something that people can sell. Does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter, in terms of the overall feel of your season. You still had a very disappointing season. You still had a step back from last year. But I think for people involved, maybe for the decision makers, I think it does. I think it. There still can be some positive in their eyes coming from a couple wins down the stretch here.
I will say it's something that I don't know if the fans are aware of this as much. And I think maybe we take it for granted, but. After the game, the Fords are down there in the basement where the locker room is, and they see, the coaches and
they hide out from the media.
They hide from the media, but they're down there and they see them, and I think definitely after a win, you can see that there's a lot more happiness from the ownership group, from the Ford family. Everybody feels really good, and there's also more extended Ford family at home games than there is at road games. So it's a nice kind of family cheerful atmosphere after victory. And I think that counts. I think that football's an emotional game. They don't play very often. And I think that that ownership follows suit that way. They know that these things are rare, to win. Anytime you win in the NFL is rare, especially if you're the Lions. But yeah, so it doesn't, I mean, when you look back, I mean, I don't know if that's enough really to change Martha, Sheila, Steve Hamps, I mind if 1 or 2 wins is going to make that much of a difference at the end of the year, beating Green Bay or whatever, but it certainly feels good. And I think there's also a recency bias. If you win your last 2 road games, or home games rather, that might make you think, hey, the team stayed together, we won at the end, we're kind of trending in the right direction, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have Stafford.
So you just made my point because you originally disagreed with it, but now you're on my side, so I like that. That's good. No, and Fords, we're going to be looking for you the next couple games. So if you have a minute, stop in the tunnel. My phone number. Give me a call. We'd love to talk. Love to hear from you. All right. So the game this weekend, you said it. It could. The recency bias. Just you just want to feel good about yourselves, right? If you're playing the game, if you're involved with this organization, and wins do that. Losses don't do that. So Do they get one this week? I mean, this is a Tampa team that, again, no Mike Evans. They're not a very good running team. They do have a very good run defense. They do have a very good passing offense. I mean, they've put up a lot of yards, a lot of points. In fact, point-wise, Baltimore, San Francisco, 1-2 in scoring, 4-5 in scoring. Kansas City and New Orleans, number 3 in between them. Tampa. I mean, what doesn't fit there, right? Those are 4 really good teams, and then the Bucs. So, do the Lions have enough to get a win this weekend? Give me a prediction, Carlos.
No, it's just I just don't see it. Like we just mentioned, all the stuff with, the run game and Bucs have the number 1 run defense and all this other stuff. And Jameis can create as much havoc as he can. Good. I just see the Bucs winning this game. They probably just a little healthier, a little better, but they are a better team.
Give me a score and a penalty prediction for Sue.
Bucs 24-14. He's been pretty clean. I actually looked this up. I'm gonna say one like not even roughing the passer. Like what's like a ticky-tack kind of horse collar-y, maybe face mask that Blau sells.
What? The face mask? That's still a 15-yarder. I thought Carlos was going with the upset. I thought Carlos was
hands
going with
to
the
face,
upset.
like a Trey Flowers hands to the face that we're not quite sure.
All right.
Think?
I think I'm with you that Tampa wins. But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think the Bucs are going to put up as many points as maybe some people do. I think the Lions can do a decent enough job of maybe controlling the tempo here, keeping this relatively low scoring. We've seen some things out of the run defense lately. No Mike Evans. I have Tampa winning 24-21. But again,
21 points by the Lions.
Yeah,
nice.
This game, maybe it was 21, whatever I picked. I don't know. It's online, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. But regardless, it's
a lot.
Yeah, I think this is a game that it really gave me pause. I almost went Lions. I know it flies in the face of logic, but I almost went Lions because I think this is a game that they can win.
They can.
As for Ndamukong Suh, he had 1 personal foul last year when he came to town with the Rams. He's going to have 1 personal foul again this year. He's up to play his old team, right? He's the type of guy that at this stage of his career, 32 years old, I think he can, he probably conserve some of his energy for moments that he really needs it, some of his play. And I think this will be a game that he'll be fired up to play against his old team. Some of the Sues or Boos or whatever are coming down from the Ford Field rafters. So 1 penalty for Sue, 20 points for the Lions, maybe 21. Let's call it 20.5, 24 for the Bucs. Another Lions loss.
Like personal foul penalty is what you're talking about, or just okay?
Yeah, I'm not talking about offsides.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about personal fouls.
What was it last year? I don't even remember.
I wrote it the other day. It was I think it was a horse collar on Zach Zenner, if I remember right.
On Zenner, okay. Yeah, I don't even remember that. Okay.
Yeah. This year, he's coming after you, David Blau. All right, so again, 6 straight losses.
7.
Creeping towards the end of the season here, and this could be a 7th. 3 games left. Tampa this week, at Denver next week before Christmas, and then they wrap things up against the Green Bay Packers. And everyone out there, enjoy your holiday season. We'll be here to bring you all the Lions news for these last couple weeks and beyond. Big off season coming up for this team. For Carlos Monarrez, I'm Dave Birkett, Freep.com.